What is going on, yo? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, coming back at you with another vlog update series. This one is all about week 29 of this competition prep. So, week 29, y'all, we're going to talk about some blood work. I got all my blood work panels back. We're going to dive into the macro manipulations in the spreadsheet. We're going to also do some comparison shots of me amongst the other competitors from this show that I just won my pro card at. So, lots to dive into here. Let's roll up our sleeves and do just that. All right, so week 29, started the week here in the spreadsheet at 156.7, and the macros this week are pretty low. So since there is not a peak week this week, since there's nothing crazy going on this week, I was pretty conservative with the intake. Dropped the protein from 120 down to 115, but keep in mind I was only at 120 last week for one day. So went from 130 to 120 to 115 pretty quick there. So with the macros this week at 125 grams of fat, 115 grams of protein, and 15 grams of total carbs, my total caloric intake is only 1645. And that is definitely on the low end of the spectrum, considering that my maintenance intake is around double that. So that was the intake for the week. To give you a visual as to what that looked like from a meal standpoint, I'm doing, again, this is all going to look pretty similar because it doesn't change that much week to week. 3 tablespoons of the Nut Pods creamer in my coffee, 3 eggs, 230 grams of egg whites, 1 Bell's Brownie Batter Keto Brick, 6 ounces of a 92.8 grass-fed ground beef with 8 grams of duck fat. My electrolytes have been holding pretty constant, around 7 or 8 grams of salt, plus the electrolyte powders that I use and the seasonings, which again puts my sodium intake at around 11,500 to 11,700 milligrams of sodium. And again, I've been holding that steady throughout the week, not even increasing it on refeed day. So my body's been responding very, very well to that. I am so lean and depleted right now that I'm able to maintain that grainy look with that electrolyte intake and my fluid intake, which I'm measuring to the T. And I've just been really liking how my body's been looking at that, so I'm just holding that steady. Going back to the spreadsheet now, we had the refeed day on Friday, so that consisted of 280 grams of fat, 190 grams of protein, 15 grams of total carbs, and I didn't have like a peak week this week necessarily, but I did have a photo shoot on Sunday. So in order to kind of not necessarily peak for that, but to just bring out a little bit more fullness, I went ahead and had the extra pound of lamb on Saturday. So that was 215 grams of fat, 190 grams of protein, 15 grams of total carbs, and I maintained my macros the same on Sunday for that 125, 115, 15. I did 2 days of cardio this week, both at 25 minutes, level 16 on the Stairmaster. The average intake throughout the week, counting the refeeds, averages out to about 2,046 calories, 70% of which are coming from dietary fat. The refeed bumped it up to, on the refeed day, 3,340 calories and about a 75% fat ratio. Just to kind of show you, what day was that? That was the 20th and 21st. So just to kind of show you what that looked like on refeed day here. We do a little bit more of the Nut Pods creamer in the coffee. We have a smaller meal earlier in the day, just 3 eggs, 18 grams of duck fat, 6 ounces of lamb, and then here's where the majority of those calories are coming from, in that Keto Refeed Pizza with the addition of the Bell's Brownie Batter Brick. Again, though, I kept since I dropped my sodium down on the salt intake because the anchovies that I put in the pizza pack a pretty hefty dose of sodium. So I maintained that 11,700 milligrams for the day. The following day, which was the 21st, the day before that posing photo shoot, I basically just threw in that extra pound of lamb in the evening with 27 grams of duck fat. And I may have mentioned this on a prior video, but one thing that my body's been responding very well to is that pound of lamb. Lamb is a little bit higher in CLA than beef. Plus, I just kind of like the change in flavor. And the way I've been cooking this lamb, which may sound a bit strange, but my body's just been soaking it up, and it gives me a different texture, is I'll get a cast iron skillet, piping hot. I'll put the whole pound of lamb on there, sear it really good, get a nice crust, and then flip it and sear it good, get a crust on the other side, and then I pretty much leave the internal, the middle of the pound of lamb relatively raw, like it's pretty much raw. And I'll drizzle the duck fat on top of that, and it's delicious. My body soaks it up, responds well to it. I don't hold any extra weight the next day. And it's just, like I said, delicious. I'm getting hungry talking about it right now. So that's what I've been doing there. Now, interestingly enough, my weight at the beginning of the week was 156.7. We got in from traveling back from this show late Friday, and I forgot to have one of my waters and electrolytes earlier in the day on Friday, so I pretty much had a bolus later in the day. Not more total for the day, but just all concentrated right before I went to bed. Not all of it, but a pretty good dose of it. And as a result of that, I woke up heavy the next morning, quite a bit heavier, 4 pounds heavier. I woke up at 159.4. I put a little note in there for myself, drank my electrolytes and water very late in the day, and didn't sleep very well or long. So I've got a photo shoot the next day, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I'm going to be holding a bunch of water for this photo shoot. But I just kept everything constant. I timed out my water intake and my electrolyte intake the following day. Everything flushed out, and I lost those 4 pounds overnight. And then I woke up on the morning of the photo shoot at 155.8. So let that be a lesson to y'all. If you have a crazy fluctuation in the timing of your water or your electrolytes, just hold steady, hold the course, let your body return back to its healthy, normal homeostatic baseline, and everything should flush out. Don't do anything drastic. Don't sit in the sauna for 2 hours. Don't do anything crazy. Just let your body stabilize. I know this is all for week 29, and I'm filming this on Monday, so interestingly enough, give you a little sneak peek into the coming week. I woke up today at my new lowest weight of 154.2. So kind of crazy, y'all. I'm 154.2 right now, which is just insane. All right, let's dive into some blood work here. So let's go to lab results. Again, I keep all of my blood work in Heads Up Health, which is a very cool software for keeping all this stuff in one spot. So a company they emailed me called Private MD Labs, and they reached out and said, hey, look, we're going to fix you up with a comprehensive blood work panel. Go through Quest, get it done. We got you covered. They also hooked me up with a discount code, and the discount code is Keto Savage 15. So if any of y'all are wanting to incorporate some more blood work panels, feel free to use Private MD Labs. Use that code if you'd like. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's probably 15% discount. But the way that works is pretty cool. They just basically, you're able to order whatever test you want, and then you go to a Quest Diagnostic Center, get those labs drawn, and then you have those results within like 24, 48 hours. So definitely recommend doing that as opposed to going through some insurance company or your primary care provider, because they oftentimes jack up the prices and it takes longer. So I'm a huge fan of just going direct, going through Quest, buying the labs, getting it done, and then I upload all that information to Heads Up Health. So here we are in Heads Up Health. This last draw was on October 3rd, and let's scroll down here and look at some of these markers. You can kind of see all this stuff here. This is behind the scenes of all my blood work. Glucose 86 fasted, so pretty good there. I'm trying to get to the relevant info. So all my electrolyte markers look good, and I want to get down to the hormone panel specifically. All right, so here things get interesting. My normal total testosterone is between usually 500 and 700. You can see those numbers here. On 4/3, it was 537. It was 718 on 11/15/2019. I'm typically around 500 to 700. Sometimes it'll go as high as 800. I'm about to be 32 years old. I don't sleep very much, and I stress a lot with the business. Those are two things that definitely down-regulate my hormones. But normally 500 to 700 is pretty much my range. With this cut and this prep and my low body fat and depleted state that I'm currently in, I got my labs drawn on 7/17, and my total testosterone went from 537 down to 169.4, which is a crazy big drop. My free testosterone went from 8 to, and this is, the total testosterone is in ng per DL. The free testosterone is in PG per ml, so take note of that. But it dropped quite a bit as well. And then my total testosterone, this last test taken on October 3rd, went from 169.4, which was already abysmally low, to 86, which is crazy low. Estradiole's low. My FSH and LH are both in a healthy range. But my total testosterone, y'all, has dropped significantly. And I really want to take this opportunity to showcase and illustrate the fact that this is why a competition prep and maintaining these levels of incredibly low body fat is not sustainable or healthy long term. You know, your body fat level it plays an integral role in managing your sex hormones. And with me being sub 4% body fat right now, my total testosterone is tanked. Now, I'm not worried about that because as soon as I go through the reverse diet, start eating more, and return to a healthy body fat percentage, those numbers will all bump right back up as they have in the past, and I'll be good to go. Again, most people, when they have that low of a testosterone, they complain about lack of energy, lack of libido, lack of zeal for life and excitement and fulfillment. Of those characteristics, the only one I can really speak on is the lack of libido. I still have a ton of energy. My mental acuity is on point. I attribute that to the ketogenic diet and this prep protocol. And I haven't really seen a significant drop in strength or any of those markers, but libido has certainly tanked. Some of that's going to be a result of my mindset. I'm just hyper focused and dialed in and just thinking about this competition prep. And that's, libido is not where my mind's at. But from a hormone standpoint, you're going to experience a drop in libido when your testosterone drops that much. So take note of that. Like, be conscious of that and be aware of the fact that this is why you need to have a properly implemented reverse diet post-show so that you can bring those numbers back up to a healthy range. This is why getting blood work done before you start the cut, throughout the cut ideally, and then as you reverse diet is so important so you can see how the cut itself is impacting your markers. So just wanted to share that with y'all. All right, let's dive into some posing footage from this last week, from this week, and then we'll talk about comparison pictures with the other competitors. So this posing footage was taken the day after I had all that, late intake of electrolytes and water. So this is when I am 4 pounds up. So definitely holding some water in this footage, but I just kind of want to show y'all what we're looking like here before that water flushes out. So here I am in the front relaxed pose. I need to kind of come forward a little bit more based off of the angle of the camera and whatnot. And I'm doing 35-second holds, so I don't want to have y'all sit through these 35-second holds. So we'll just kind of skip around a little bit. But here we are with the posing. We got my front lat spread there. Even with holding the extra 4 pounds of water, though, I still have quite a bit of separation in my legs, in my chest, in my vascularity, so I'm excited about that. But I can definitely tell I'm holding some water in these photos, or in this footage. But even with that, like I said, you can see the glute striations, you can see the separation in the quads. So the cool thing about being this lean is even if I screw up something with the electrolytes or the water intake, I still look pretty dialed in. And that's all a result of just simply being this conditioned. So definitely take note of that. A lot of people, when they're, in a prep and they're not this lean, they get everything dialed in, but then they're like playing this balancing act to make sure it stays dialed in and properly peaking for stepping on stage. Whereas if you're just simply freaking shredded to the bone, even if you're not peaked perfectly, you'll still ideally look better than everybody else on stage. So let that be the goal. Bring a level of conditioning that just surpasses that of the competition. All right, so here are those poses, and then we'll just go right into some of the comparison shots here because that's what I really want to show y'all. So let me minimize this, and then we will pull up some photos. So these photos, I'm going to kind of skip around here, are from the lineup of the lightweight class. So I've got some photos from the lightweight class and some from the overall. I haven't even seen the lightweight class yet, so I'm kind of excited to see these for the first time with y'all as well. Here we have a pretty stacked class. I mean, these guys are looking great. This guy's got great separation in his abdominals, in his obliques. This guy's got quite a good build as well. His glutes are in. This guy, I saw him backstage. I'm like, man, this guy looks perfectly symmetrical in proportion. He's got all kinds of thickness in his chest, in his arms, in his shoulder caps. He's got the bicep vein vascularity popping. Very competitive class. From the back, this guy's got shredded glutes. His back's tight in, thick triceps, thick delts all around. Where am I at these? Okay, I'm on the other end here. This guy looks great as well. Not quite as conditioned in the legs, but he's got the vascularity. He may just not be posing in this picture. We have this older gentleman. I forget how old he was. You remember how old he was, Chip? He was like 80 or something years old. So, again, he competed in the master class, but he also stepped on stage in the open class, which I have, utmost respect for. But to be 80 years old, strapping on some posing trunks and getting up there and rocking it, like mad respect for that. This gentleman here looks fantastic. He's got all kinds of separation in his quads. He was holding his arms about where I was holding my arms in the first two competitions before I got that feedback on dropping my arms. So I would recommend he do that for the judges' sake. And here I am on the end, kind of dark with the lighting. Let me see if I can get some more pictures here. So they moved me here. So here I am more in the center of the stage. You can see my separation in my quads. You just see more feathering in my teardrops than you can see in the other competitors. You can see my core is tight. So is his in this picture, though. Let's see here. They did something interesting. I started out on the end. They moved me in the middle, and then they automatically moved me to the end again after a while. And then I stayed on the ends, which to me, if I'm trying to think optimistically, real time as it's going down, I started on the edge. They moved me to the center, so I'm looking at the head judge. Then they automatically put me on the ends again. And I'm thinking that's because they automatically had me pegged as the most conditioned guy, and then they just wanted to get me out of the way of the other competitors so they could figure out who's going to be second place. That's what I like to tell myself, at least. They've done that at other shows with other competitors, so I'm assuming that's what was going on with me, but that may not be the case. But it is interesting that they moved me to the outside relatively early on in the judging. So again, here I'm trying to get, there we go. There's me from the back. See, I'm not flexing my hamstrings here, whereas he is. So in this shot, I would honestly give it to this guy over me because his hamstrings are flexed and mine aren't. But again, from the front, you can see just more feathering in my quads. I'm just leaner than the other competitors. This guy's vascularity was next level, though. He had all kinds of vascularity. All right, going through. Let me try and get some muscular. I'm just going to go through these, and we can kind of skip ahead if we need to. Okay. Side poses. See, I need to work on keeping my core tight. You can see I'm kind of blowing out a little bit here on this pose. I need to keep that tight. That's something that I got to work on. My glutes are in, though, so you can see that from this shot. All right. Here we go. We got some muscular poses here. So we got the front lat spread. Again, I'm just crisper. I'm a little crisper. But this guy, he's got more fullness. Like on this shot, his legs aren't as dialed in as mine, but he's just got massive upper body thickness. So he looks fantastic. All these guys look freaking fantastic. And again, this is the first time I'm seeing these photos too, so I'm kind of excited to be going through them with you. But again, you can just see more conditioning on me. All right, let's go to some side chest poses here. I got just this grainy look going on with my legs. Then I've been doing this transition with the side tricep. So I'll hold it initially. You don't see it there, but I'll start off doing the traditional side tricep, and then I'll kick my leg out to the front. Since my quads are so dialed in, I kind of want to showcase that as well. So I've been kicking my leg out and doing more of a traditional side tricep pose. All right, now this is where I take it home, ladies and gents. My back shot is where it's at for me. So this, you can see here I am flexing my hamstrings. I'm dialed in on the back with the hamstrings. My glutes are also in. And then just the conditioning in my back. So being able to see the striations in my lower back is where that next level of conditioning really kind of sets me apart from the others in this lineup with this shot. So really happy about how the lower back's looking. Again, you can just see the difference there amongst the other competitors. My back shot is my best shot. We got the lat spread. And then I'm just kind of scrolling through these other side chest. I'm really proud that I'm starting to develop some hamstring sweep here. That's something that I haven't had in the past, but I've been nailing hamstrings like nobody's business to try and bring that up a little bit more. Okay, so here's a good comparison. This is me doing the side tricep traditionally, and then I transition to that variation of the side tricep. So I can really kind of bring the judge's eyes to my quads coming out and just have some more movement on stage. Then we got our abdominal thigh shots here. And this was a money shot for me at this show too. Like these hands on hip most muscular, which they called several times. But honestly, y'all, this is just a stacked class. Like everybody, I mean, look at the vascularity in this guy. Like I saw that guy's chest backstage and I'm like, man, this guy is bringing it down. And this guy's fullness was next level. I mean, his pecs are significantly bigger than mine. But again, I'm just bringing a sharper, more conditioned look. I've got paper skin thin on my legs, and you can see every striation in my chest, my shoulder caps. It's just that conditioning that really brought the house down at this show. So there is that. A lot of these guys, you're up there for a while. If you get a stack class, the judges will keep you up there posing. They start sweating like this, and you want to avoid that. That's just putting time. Here they move me to the outside here. You just want to avoid that sweat dripping, and that's all just a result of posing, hitting those poses, holding those poses, and just maintaining that conditioning because they're going to put you on stage for a while. All right, so there's that. Let's call it good on the first class, and let's dive into the overall photos for just a second here. So this is me against the middleweight winner and the heavyweight winner. I don't know what their weights were, but you can definitely tell they've got a lot more mass on them than I do. But I brought a better level of conditioning than they did, and that's kind of where it all shook out here. I mean, these guys, like, look at this guy's quads compared to mine. His quads are twice the size of mine. So we'll go through these. See, here I am blowing out the air, and I'm maintaining a tightness in my core on those side poses. So this is what I need to be looking like at all times. I can't be letting it get soft at all. I got my hamstrings flexed here, so I'm dialed in there. But you can kind of see, while this guy's got just much more size than me, he doesn't have near the conditioning in his hamstrings, in his glutes, in his back. It's a conditioning game at this point. All right, we're just gonna go through these. We'll spend a little bit of time on these because this is the overall. This is the class that I won my pro card with. So you see that separation there. You're not seeing that as much in the other competitors. That's what you want. And I stayed on stage and got harder and harder and fuller the longer I stayed on stage, whereas these two gentlemen started to get a little bit winded there towards the end because they had us out there for quite a while. Here they moved me to the center. They're running us through the ringer again. See this, you can really see that my hamstrings and glutes are dialed in. I need to open up my lats a little bit more there. I'm not flared out as much as I should be. And then they move me again to the side. They want all the judges to see you from all angles. Here we go to the muscular rounds, front double bicep. Again, I'm definitely dwarfed from a size comparison standpoint, but I'm just leaner from a conditioning standpoint. I mean, look at this guy's arms, though. This guy is freaking huge. And this guy's got a ton of mass, too. I mean, they both looked fantastic. I just took the title from a conditioning standpoint. There I am transitioning to that. Here we go with the back poses. Honestly, from the back, y'all, while they have me on size, I think the symmetry and proportion and conditioning that I had here was just what set me apart from the others. But this guy's glutes are still coming in pretty good as well. So he's got a pretty good level of conditioning in that regard. So these are me against the winners of their classes, y'all. There we go with that hands-on hip. They kept calling that pose. The judges were a fan of the hands-on hip most muscular pose for sure. So I'm glad I've been practicing that one quite a bit. And then let's see here. We'll just kind of speed through these. They called for their favorite pose, so I had to hit my signature pose there, of course. Then we're starting to do the pose down. I like that we had a pose down going on. See, this guy's got some striations there on that pose. Having fun with the pose down. Get a little most muscular crab, most muscular comparison action going on. Had to throw the splits in there because why not? And then that's when they called me as the winner, and I literally just hit the knees, hit the ground, because it was a monumental moment for me, y'all. Shaking hands, getting my sword, and calling it good. So that's a wrap on this one, y'all. That is the WNBF, INBF Natural Puget Sound Pro-Am competition that just took place in Washington State. This is the show that I've been working for years. Took home the pro card, won my class, won the overall, and that's a wrap on week 29. Very successful week 29, in my opinion, if I may say so myself. So we will see you next time for week 30. We're going to be going to the competition in Massachusetts in another week or so, so I'll be keeping you up to date on all of that. But thank y'all for tuning in on this journey. Can't thank you enough for all the support, and we will see you next time.